Hey everybody, welcome back to the shop. This week we're doing cutting, welding, sectioning, some of the tools I got laid out. This is going to be a two-part video. Some of the tools that I got laid out for you guys here are going to be the primary things that we're going to need to do cutting and getting things ready to section in or repair a new panel. Last week we talked about repairing these cab corners, replacing these cab corners on this here truck. I do have the materials in. The cab corners did arrive. I ordered them from Summit. They have arrived. We'll see how far we can get on this week. But today, let's focus on the tools that we're going to utilize to do some of that cutting. What you see here, this green machine, that's a plasma cutter. All right, we have one there at the school. It's a Hypotherm. This one's just a Harbor Freight special, and I will tell you, it's awesome. I'm really impressed with it. You catch them on sale for about $750. Any other day, it's $900. But so far, I'm extremely impressed with this. I cut a bunch of stuff apart on that chassis that you guys looked at the week before last. Basically, kind of give you an idea how it works, is you have an air hose that hooks to the back. Okay, the reason the air hooks to the back is because not only does it cool the unit itself, but as you are cutting and it starts heating up that metal, air pressure comes out of the tip here, and that air pressure coming out blows the metal out as you're cutting. So that way it don't just heat up to a molten puddle and then stick back together. So like a welder, you have a ground clamp. If you don't have a ground clamp, you can't create the arc with the torch. All right. These come in all different shapes and sizes. Some of them are really large, simply for bigger metals. This one will do up to 5/8 inch, which is more than enough for automotive needs. If you're working on a bare chassis or you're working on, say, this cab corner and I just wanted to quickly cut it out, this would be an option to do so, as long as the cab itself there's not going to be any reasons that these sparks are going to blow forward and catch something on fire. This cab's going to be stripped down to nothing, just bare metal. So utilizing this at some point or another will be great for this project. Our next one, you guys are all familiar with the cutoff wheels. This one's just a grinder, all right? Right now we've got a grinder disc on it, but we can take that disc off and put a cutoff wheel on this. And then if we don't have air supply to the area that we're working, we can use electric supply. At that point, we can go through, we can cut our little lines, our sections, whatever we want to do, and we can utilize this to make those cuts without having to worry about air, a ton of sparks, the metal getting too hot. That's another thing about that. If you use that on thin metal, like sheet metal, chances are it's going to get too hot and it's going to warp it. So if we're cutting and sectioning in something small, something thin, on a modern day car, we're going to use something with a thinner disc. These are great to have around. These are very handy, especially if you're doing stuff in your home shops. By all means, you're in a production shop, you've got the air tools, you've got the air supply, you've got the massive compressors, a bunch of the other stuff that you don't have to worry about paying out of pocket for. Go ahead and use the air tools. It's going to be quick, it's going to be efficient, and it's not going to slow you down by, okay, you've got an air hose drug over here, now you got to go get an extension cord or anything like that. So that's a good one. The next one, a lot of you guys are familiar with the good old Sawzall. All right, Sawzalls are great for making big cuts right away. So if we needed to cut off a frame rail because we were going to section it in, I could cut the mass majority of the damage off real quick with this, and then I could go back and utilize one of these other tools for more precise cuts. So this is not going to be precise by any means. This is just going to get damaged stuff out of the way quickly. Your next two. Mini air Sawzall, little bitty guy. These are real handy to have. Most of you guys have used this in plastics. The cool thing about these is you can make precise cuts, and it's so small that you can almost use it like a jigsaw, and it don't have to be straight lines. So if you need to come down and you need to turn or anything like that, these are great for that. This is going to be more precision. Then you have your air cutoff tool, right? We've got a cutoff disc on the end. It's real thin. Okay, that's like what you would put on the electric one if you were cutting, but it's real thin, and at this point you could utilize this to make any of your sectioning cuts necessary. So that way you guys go in and we wanted to cut out this cab corner, I could run just the depth of the metal itself and not have to worry about throwing too many sparks in there, catching something on fire, or cutting deeper than I need to cut. So this is one of the tools that you guys are familiar with that's in y'all's carts at the school. This is one that's in my box at the school that you guys are familiar with. And the last tool I want to show you guys this morning is the spot weld drill. This is a spot weld drill, okay? These have a specific designed bit for only cutting spot welds. You can see by looking at that bit that that's not like every other bit that you see in our bit sets. This one's a little different. It's a little more flatter. It's got a center punch point. This has a arc around it. So if I wanted to utilize this on like a rocker panel or something, this would put pressure on the backside. So when I hit the air, this will come down and press against that, and then it's a solid press, and I'm not having to push as hard. Now, can we always use that? No, because we won't have access for it. You turn that the right way, bam, now you just have the drill itself. All right, and you can see you can adjust the depth. So if you look at that, you can adjust the depth. Right there's your plus and minus. So if I needed to go in and only drill just past the first layer of metal, I can adjust that to the thickness of the first layer. And so when I drill that spot weld out, bam, we're ready to go. Once the spot welds are drilled, your last portion of that is going to be a spot weld cutter. Spot weld cutter consists of basically it's like a chisel. So you can see the points, you can see the edges, you can run that in between the two pieces of metal that are welded together. If this was two pieces of metal and you had a spot weld there and now you've got it drilled, you could wedge this in here like so, hit the backside with a hammer, and that will finish breaking the weld so you can remove that damaged metal to be able to section something else in. So that's going to conclude the video for this morning on the tools that we're going to use. The next video that I'm going to make for you guys is going to be how to use these. So I'm going to do a live demonstration of using all of these tools. I'm going to set up a piece of pipe over here that I have, not pipe but square tubing, and I'm gonna live video these tools on how we would use each one of these, so you can see how it works from start to finish. If you have any questions over what I've got right now, be sure to shoot me a text, give me a call, an email, so on and so forth. I'll be happy to answer anybody's questions. I'm making the videos like this so you have access to view them at your discretion. That does not mean we don't have assignments, guys. If we have assignments, I do expect them to be done, and I expect them to be done by a certain time. That's it for this video. I will get everything set up, and I'll start making a demonstration video next. That way you guys can see how it all works and how these tools are used, so you're more familiar with them whenever the time comes you get to use them. Thanks, guys.